Well, first thing to keep in mind, of course, they're two distinctly different fields. Neuroscience itself is a science that studies the brain and the nervous system, and is interested in finding out how our brains work. Neuro-linguistic programming is a discipline that the focus of is building models of human excellence, taking people who are very skilled at what they do, capturing those skills, and then putting out the patterns that make up the capabilities and building models for the target skill being modeled. So they're distinctly different. Neuroscience, of course, has a very big research focus. And of course, there are applications. People like neurologists, medical doctors, specialists, who then apply findings from neuroscience in their work. Whereas neuro-linguistic programming is a model-building endeavour and is very, very practical. So we're not too interested in the theories for NLP. We're more interested in how does a person do what they do? Can we replicate that particular capability? That's the evidence. If you can get a similar result in a similar time frame, then okay, you've got a model that is workable and effective in the world. Now, of course, some of the more interesting findings in recent years in neuroscience, one that a lot of people have heard about is neuroplasticity. This idea that as we change ourselves, there's changes in our neurology. In other words, for example, if you exercise a particular capability, there'll be morphological changes in the brain. So I think the area of neuroplasticity is very, very interesting from an NLP point of view. Certainly when you are applying NLP to yourself or guiding somebody else through some sort of change, for the user, there are changes in their neurology. I mean, the facts are every time when you're learning, you've got changes in your neurology. There are changes in the morphology in the brain. Read something interesting just recently. They found that people, prisoners of war who had significant periods of isolation, developed some very interesting skills. Because these people would do things like, for example, one particular gentleman, he did a lot of mental calculations to keep himself amused, to keep his brain, his mind exercised. Now, that would produce particular physiological changes in the brain. If you go out and develop a new skill, let's say learn a new language, let's say through immersion, you go into another culture, immerse yourself in the culture and the language, you put aside your first language, of course, and you acquire that language, then through that acquisition, there will be significant changes in your neurology. I think they're both very interesting fields. Certainly, I found it fascinating when I was doing my psychology degree. I certainly enjoyed the neuroscience, and I think it's going to be one of the major, it's one of the areas where there's major growth in findings, certainly in the last 10 years, and it's probably going to be one of the big fields in this 21st century.